We've always been told that you can't outrun a bad diet, but what if I told you that for some people, you also can't outrun your own heart? Imagine a man in his mid 40s. He's the guy we all envy. He runs marathons. His body fat is non-existent, and his resting heart rate is so low it would make a tortoise jealous. He goes for his morning run just like he has every day for 20 years, but this time he doesn't come home and he suffers a massive heart attack on the trail. It's the kind of story that sends a chill down your spine because it breaks the fundamental rule we all live by that fitness equals health. If he isn't safe, then who is? Today, we're going to walk through exactly why this happens, why the engine of a Ferrari might still have clogged pipes, and most importantly, the specific hidden risk factors that standard checkups miss in fit people. This isn't about scaring you away from the treadmill. It's about giving you the missing piece of the puzzle so you can keep running for the rest of your life. I'm really glad you're here for this one because this information saves lives. If you find value in understanding your body better, please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us get this message out to the people who need to hear it, and I'd love to have you stick around with us. Now, just a quick reminder before we dive in, I'm a doctor, and everything I am sharing today is grounded in the latest research from top cardiology journals and guidelines. However, I am not your doctor. This video is for educational purposes. I've listed trusted medical sources in the description below so you can verify everything yourself, but please always consult your own healthcare provider for personal medical advice. So let's get into it. We need to talk about what we call the paradox of the athletic heart. You see, for years, we assumed that if you exercise, you are scrubbing your arteries clean. And for the vast majority of people, that is true. Going from sitting on the couch to walking 30 minutes a day cuts your heart risk in half. It is powerful medicine, but when we look at data from extreme endurance athletes, people running 30, 40, 50 miles a week for decades, we see something strange. The data forms a U shape. The mortality risk drops as you get fit, but at the very extreme end, it plateaus or even ticks up slightly. Why? It comes down to physics. Think about a garden hose. If you turn the water on gently, the flow is smooth. That's your blood flow during a brisk walk. Now imagine you turn that faucet on full blast for 4 hours straight. The water becomes turbulent. It rattles the pipes when an athlete is pushing their limits. Their heart is pumping 25 to 35 liters of blood per minute. That massive volume creates what we call shear stress and turbulence, especially where the arteries branch out. Over decades, this turbulence can cause tiny micro injuries to the lining of the artery walls. Now, the body is smart. It wants to repair those injuries, so it patches them up. It sends in calcium and cholesterol to act like a bandage over time. These bandages build up into plaques. This is why when we put seasoned marathon runners into a CT scanner, we often see more calcium in their arteries than we see in sedentary people of the same age. It's shocking. I know you would expect their arteries to be pristine, but here is the critical nuance that most headlines miss, and I want you to really understand this. Not all plaque is created equal, and take a look at this comparison. On one side, you have the vulnerable plaque, and this is what we typically see in smokers or people with uncontrolled diabetes. It's soft, it's filled with a fatty core, and it has a very thin cap. It's like a pimple waiting to pop. If it bursts, it causes a clot instantly. That is a heart attack on the other side. Look at the plaque we often see in athletes. It's calcified, it's hard, it's dense. Think of it like a scar that has healed over. These calcified plaques are much more stable and far less likely to rupture, so while the athlete might have a higher score on a calcium scan, their actual risk of dying is still lower because the plaque is stable. The fitness protects them. However, and this is a big however, we cannot just rely on that because there is another mechanism that attacks athletes, and it's not plaque rupture, it's called plaque erosion. Imagine that high pressure blood flow again, Sometimes it doesn't burst the plaque, it just strips the top layer of cells off the artery wall, leaving raw tissue exposed. The blood reacts by clotting, and suddenly you have a blockage. This is often driven by spasms in the artery. The intense adrenaline of competition, it explains why some heart attacks happen right at the finish line. So if fitness isn't a complete shield, what are the hidden assassins we are missing? And the biggest one is genetic. There is a specific type of cholesterol called lipoprotein A, or little a. I call it the genetic ghost because you can't run away from it. It's a sticky, nasty particle that drives clotting and blockage. Here's the kicker. It is 90% determined by your genes. You could eat kale and run 10 miles a day and your levels would barely budge. And the standard cholesterol test your doctor gives you, it doesn't even look for it. You could have a perfect cholesterol score and still be walking around with sky-high levels of lipoprotein A. This brings us to the most frustrating part of this whole puzzle, the blind spots in our testing. We are using tools designed for sick, sedentary people to test high-performance machines. I want to show you this breakdown of where we go wrong. Look at the stress test. This is the treadmill test many of you have probably taken. It is designed to find blockages that are clogging up 70% or more of your artery. It's looking for a plumbing failure, but an athlete has huge dilated arteries and incredible collateral blood flow. You could have a 40% blockage, which is plenty big enough to rupture and kill you, and yet you will breeze through that stress test with flying colors. You'll max out the machine. The doctor will high-five you and tell you you're invincible, but that test didn't see the non-obstructive plaque that is sitting there waiting for a moment of high inflammation to burst. And speaking of inflammation, that is the fuel for the fire exercise, is inflammatory in the short term. That's how muscles grow. But if you never recover, if you are chronically overtraining, undersleeping, and stressed out, that inflammation never goes away. It weakens the caps of those plaques. It makes your blood stickier. This is why we say that recovery is a safety mechanism. If you are feeling off, if you have a burning sensation in your chest that you think is just lung burn, but it feels different, or if your performance suddenly drops and you can't keep your usual pace, those are warning signs. Don't push through them. The no pain, no gain mentality can get you killed in this specific scenario. So what do? I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to be empowered. First, realize that you need to check under the hood properly. If you are a male over 40 or a female over 50 and you've been training hard for years, ask for a coronary artery calcium scan. It's a quick CT scan, low radiation, and it tells us if there is actual plaque building up. If your score is 0, fantastic. If it's high, don't panic. Remember, your fitness protects you, but it means we need to get aggressive with prevention. We need to check your lipoprotein A once in your life. We need to look at your inflammation markers like HSCR. And we need to change how we fuel. We have to move away from just eating carbs for performance and start eating longevity. This means anti-inflammatory foods. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish or algae are non-negotiable. They help stabilize those plaques. Antioxidants from berries and leafy greens help scrub up the damage caused by that heavy breathing. And please listen to your body. If you have a viral illness, if you are exhausted, take the rest day. Your heart is a muscle, and like any muscle, it needs rest to repair. The human body is resilient, but it is not invincible. Exercise is still the single best medicine we have. It extends life, it improves quality of life, and it brings us joy, but we have to respect the physiology. We have to stop assuming that because we look fit on the outside, we are bulletproof on the inside. Get checked, know your numbers, and then go out there and enjoy your run with the confidence that you are truly healthy, not just fit. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this gives you a new perspective on your training and your health.